Longevity has become the desire for someplace in the future because it's not currently here. And we talk about longevity as if it's something that we're seeking. We fail to understand that longevity is something we can experience today. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Own It Show. I'm your host, Justin Roethlingshoefer. And if it's your first time here, I just want to thank you. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Thank you for just investing in you, in your health, knowing that it is meant to be set apart. It is meant to be holy. It is meant to be something that is stewarded and received and walked in on a daily basis. And that's what I aim to do here is I aim to give you content. I aim to give you action steps. I aim to give you guidelines as to how can you live differently than the world so that you can realize the promise, which is life and life abundantly. And so today I'm really excited. Really excited about this episode because it came out of a place deep within my heart. I was actually at an event last week and I heard everybody talking about longevity, looking for longevity. There was talks about longevity. There was experts talking about longevity. Everyone was looking for the next longevity hack. They were trying to do all these different longevity tools. And I got this little whisper in my mind and it said, these people aren't looking for longevity. Longevity has become a pervasive buzzword. These people are hoping for a better future. So really what's happening when we think about longevity is longevity has become the desire for someplace in the future because it's not currently here. And we talk about longevity as if it's something that we're seeking, yet we fail to understand that longevity is something we can experience today. You're not chasing longevity. What you're actually doing is you're chasing relief from how you feel right now. Sit with that for a second. You're actually not chasing longevity. You're chasing the relief of what you feel every single day. Because almost everyone says that they want to live longer, but almost nobody is actually pursuing life. Because what longevity means in the way in which we're using it is that we're not fully alive right now. The life we're living, the life we've chosen, the life that we've built doesn't allow us to actually live fully, which is why I always say, everyone's trying to make you more superhuman. I don't want you to be more superhuman. I want you to be more fully human. That's longevity. Because longevity has become a future promise that ultimately is used to cope with a present experience. Something that we're in every single day, something that we dislike or we despise or we are overwhelmed with or we are not feeling well with. Because they say you want to live to 100, but what they really mean is that they don't want to keep feeling like this. The brain fog, the headaches, the bloating, the anxiety, the inflammation, the disconnection. That's what people want to run away from. That's what they want to seek. And longevity language is often a socially acceptable way to admit that there's present suffering. It still just like digs at my heart. Longevity language is often a socially acceptable way to admit present suffering. And we've got all these longevity summits. We've got all these biohacking summits. We've got all these longevity hacks. And really what it is it's saying, man, I don't feel fully alive right now. I don't feel fully well right now. So I'm just going to seek longevity and I'm going to seek some things that I can do to feel better later because I don't feel better right now. But the thing is that the body, we know it doesn't live in decades. We don't live to the future. We don't know if the future is even guaranteed, but yet we forget to live in days, in our present moments. And when we can start to rewire our thinking, when we can start to reshape the language that we use, it actually gives us freedom. It gives us freedom to walk in what we truly are desiring, which is to feel better today, which is to feel like we are moving in the right direction today, which is to feel like we are well today. And when you're well today, it means that you're going to have a better tomorrow. And so by inversely looking at this thing, again, the paradoxical world, upside down and backwards, the world tells you to pursue longevity tomorrow. I say pursue longevity today by how you act, how you behave, how you steward the things that you do daily, so that by definition, tomorrow is better than today. Like, just think about that for a second. And you're like, my gosh, this is too philosophical for me this morning, Justin. I listened to this on my 7 a.m. walk, or I'm deep in a set in my workout. I'm listening to this thing, but man, there's some truth to what you're saying. As I sat with this concept for a week, I left this event And people have always asked why I don't go to biohacking events, why I don't speak at longevity events, why I don't speak at these health conferences. And every single time I walk into those spaces, I feel the spirit of manipulation. I feel the spirit of discontentment. I feel the spirit of anxiety. I feel the spirit of falsification, not actually saying what you're trying to say, not actually doing or being what you're trying to be. You're trying to sell something. And I don't like that space. I don't like to be lumped into that space. I don't like what the world has turned it into. It's like you walk through the exhibit hall and everyone's trying to give you the next longevity supplement. Everyone's trying to push on you the next technology that you should be using. Everybody's trying to drive this thought of you're not far enough along, yet you have to go and buy these things in order to seek something that literally is your birthright. And I had this funny thought. I was like, you know what? I should just go in as an exhibitor and just put sand on the ground, put a tree, put some natural sunlight, and have like a bucket of apples sitting there and maybe like an Airdyne bike next to it, and be like, yeah, this is a longevity center where you can take a nap in the sand, you can sit under a tree, you can grab a piece of fruit, or go get your eyes in the sun and ride a bicycle. And it was just like, oh my gosh, it just literally turns me upside down and backwards. And so today, what I wanted to do, and off of this, and as I sat and really kind of reflected on what that week was for me, I came up with 5 radical truths we have to step into and realize when it comes to longevity, that longevity is not what we're after, and it's simply a language that we have been numbed into believing is our true desire. First radical truth, number 1, is that longevity is not a time problem, it's a state problem. It's not a time problem, it's a state problem. You ask everybody, I don't have time, or I'm running out of time. And when we think about lifespan is the moment we are born to the moment we die. And when we think about lifespan, people think that it is created by preventing death later. But biology, in how we're created, actually shows that lifespan is built by regulating stress today. So we all think that, hey, I'm going to get longevity if I can push my lifespan out further. I'm going to live to 90 years old. And I'm just going to do everything I can in order to do that. But they think about it in the future text without failing to realize that no, true longevity and lifespan is built based on regulating our stress today. You've heard me talk about this so often. I've done countless podcasts on heart rate variability, countless podcasts on the nervous system regulation, sympathetic, parasympathetic integration. There's a rhythm that occurs there, and that's the governing state of our body. How are we feeling? How are we operating? How are we integrating mental, physical, spiritual, emotional stress? How are we building intentionally the habits, behaviors, and rhythms that we operate in order to find good rhythm where we are in stress and then out of stress, in stress and out of stress all day long purposefully. And when we think about that, the reason that matters is because your nervous system can't tell the difference between a bad decade and a bad afternoon. And what I mean by that is that it only records it only records inputs. Meaning that if you have a bad decade, meaning, man, I've just been financially strapped, my kids are going in 90 million directions, I've been living and building businesses and running at a pace that I shouldn't, I've been out of shape for so long, that's a bad decade. It doesn't recognize the decade. What it recognizes is the moment you're in. And what I want you to see from this is I think so many of us reflect back and we're like, yeah, I've had that bad decade. I've been living in that. I'm 40 pounds overweight. I'm 100 pounds overweight. I don't sleep well at night. I'm constantly anxious. I'm on 5 different medications. I've got a family that's all chaotic, and this is what I operate in and run through every single day. That's my normal. That's what I'm operating in. What do you mean it doesn't understand a bad decade? Well, guess what? You could be in the midst of that bad decade. And we could take you and we could actually have you do some breath work. We could have you sit outside underneath the sun. We could have you go do a single workout, and your body would actually shift into a parasympathetic state. It would shift into a different state. And so longevity is not a time problem, it's a state problem. And the fact that we fail to change our state, the fact that we ignore the states we're in, the fact that we choose not to actually step into a different state means that we're actively choosing not to have longevity. Just going to sit on that for a second. Just let that resonate. Because we don't extend life by adding years, guys. We don't add we don't extend life by adding years. You extend life by removing daily physiological threat. And don't get me wrong, physiological threat is necessary. We have to be exposed to it in order to build resiliency, in order to grow, in order to build the things that are necessary. We need it. We need it because we are this human being that is constantly seeking adaptation. We need to, if we're not exposed to stressors, we slowly die, we slowly decay, we can't protect ourselves as well, we can't relate and regulate as easily and quickly. But my gosh, we are so inundated with physiological stress, mental, physical, spiritual, emotional, all around us, all day long, continually in it, that we don't allow ourselves a moment to step away. We don't allow ourselves to slow down. We don't allow ourselves to get still. We don't allow ourselves to come out of this state that's the threat that's causing our body to say, oh, thank you. I can relax now. I can actually put down the armor, put down the weapons, and just receive. And we all know what that feels like. I mean, Elise and I, for last 3-4 years, we've looked at our calendars every Sunday. And this past week, we looked at our calendars and we canceled 3 trips. Canceled a trip to our ski house up in Canada. We canceled a trip to see some friends in the Midwest. And we canceled one of our quarterly getaways where her and I spend time together. And we changed it to be local here in Miami so we didn't have to travel. Like, those were 3 active changes. And literally, as soon as we made the decision, it was like a down regulation, because mental and emotional stress, body doesn't know the difference. So us thinking about going, having to get on a plane, having to get there, having to go do the thing versus actually going and doing it, the body doesn't know the difference. And suddenly we gave ourselves space. And so think about this. And there was a study, and I pulled studies for all of these because I don't want you to think that this is just like anecdotal biblical references that I'm pulling, that I'm going off of, but actual science has already confirmed what the Bible already knew as truth. And so there was a Harvard study of adult development that followed participants for over 80 years. Again, I love longitudinal studies. I love random control trials. Those are the 2 studies I pull all the time. But a Harvard study that followed participants for over 80 years and found that daily emotional well-being and relationship quality predicted both lifespan and late life health, basically meaning health span, better than genetics, cholesterol, or socioeconomic status. What that's stating is that emotional and mental well-being, the way in which we are exposed to physiological threats daily, and the quality of our relationships, the things that we prioritized most, predicted both lifespan and health span better than genetics and cholesterol. The second radical truth is that people chase longevity when they don't feel safe in their own body. And I think what often happens is fatigue, anxiety, inflammation, things that they've experienced and just think is normal, are perceived by the brain as danger signals. And so the mind looks for an exit someday. They see the future as attractive because it delays responsibility today. So the reason we look for longevity is because I don't feel safe in my body today. I haven't been able to figure this thing out. I've got chronic inflammation. I've tried to do the things really quickly, but I haven't taken responsibility and ownership of what I need to do daily, and I've pushed it off until the future. And so longevity is a future thing for me. Health in the future is a future thing for me, because the future lets you believe without actually changing. How many of you have ever done that? I stopped doing this exercise in all of my workshops for this reason, where we paint a picture of what we see our future health to be. But in order to get to that, we need to be obedient today. And so many people have a future preference of where they want to be, or a future vision of where their health wants to be, but it requires obedience today. So many of us try to buy a plan for later, but we fail to want to live differently today. And man, I just hope this is resonating with some people out there, because I've seen it even in Own It. We've had clients come through that they are like, I want longevity. I want to be better in the future. I want to be here for my kids. I want to walk my daughter down the aisle. I want to be able to go and jump and play with my grandkids. But yet they're not willing to choose a consistent bedtime. They're not willing to go and stop working at 10, 11, or 12 o'clock at night. They're not willing to go and give themselves even their assistants, get their assistants to get them a healthy lunch every day. Like, if you're unwilling to be obedient, all you're sitting on is a future that's based upon a hope, because you're believing without changing. And so the mind looks for an exit someday because it's been under constant attack, which is why when we chase longevity, it's this chase and it feels safe because you don't feel safe in the body you're currently in. And this obsession with longevity is often that coping mechanism that we have for dysregulation, disintegration. And when we're disintegrated and dysregulated, there's no safety to be had. I was on a podcast yesterday and they said, I've never heard somebody in the health space talk about disintegration. Why do you talk about disintegration in the health space? And it came back to the fact that disintegration was often, or was once, I should say, used as a medical term. And when I say a medical term, it was one that was actually used to say that someone was dead. Why? Because disintegration was what happened to the body at the cellular level once oxygen was no longer present, once nutrients were no longer absorbed, and once detoxification was no longer able. And disintegration was the medical term for death. And it was usually given after 3 days, which is why Jesus raising Lazarus from the dead after 3 days, which is why Jesus rising from the dead after 3 days is so critical and important. Disintegration was a term used to speak to death because the body, mental, physical, spiritual, emotional, was now disintegrated. But now that's how many of us are living every single day. Disintegrated. And we wonder why we're unwell. We wonder why we don't feel well. We wonder why we don't feel alive. There was a study done, a research article in Psychoneuroimmunology. Let me break this down. Dyslexic boy here, try to say this word. Psychoneuroimmunology shows chronic sympathetic nervous system activation. So basically being in a chronic stress state increases inflammatory cytokines, IL-6 and TNF-alpha, which strongly correlate with cardiovascular disease, neurodegeneration, and mortality risk. And so when we think about being in a chronic stress state, over and over and over again, it increases inflammatory cytokines. Cytokines are necessary in the body because they are protectors. But when it increases a level that is chronic, the cytokines start to attack the cells, which is why we see this neurodegeneration chronically over the course of time, and why we see these chronic autoimmune illnesses come back to inflammatory markers. And suddenly when we decrease the inflammatory markers, we get out of this fight or flight state naturally, and magically our autoimmune disorders reverse. And so we can see this. It's like, it's so crazy that the body gives us signals, but we ignore it. And because we don't feel safe in this body, longevity and the seeking of it gives us like, oh, we're on the journey, we're on the mission, we're going somewhere, we can see it in the future, but yet we don't change. And so people are not afraid of dying later, they're actually tired of surviving now. People aren't afraid of dying later, they're tired of surviving now. It's been exhausting to stay up, it's been exhausting to keep going, it's been exhausting to just operate daily. And so the future hope of what can be there is what I hold on to. And longevity is what I'm after. But yet I fail to change. And unfortunately, this takes us to part 3, which is the market has learned to sell the future. It's where I just was. It was that event I was at. It's the thousands of ads you see online all the time. It's the hundreds of events that you see marketed. The market has learned to sell the future. Future promises are powerful because they can't be tested today. Relief lives tomorrow. You're going to keep buying that today. If you can say, oh my gosh, my relief is coming tomorrow, I just have to do this. My relief is coming tomorrow, I just have to do this. My relief is coming tomorrow, I just have to buy this supplement. My relief is coming tomorrow, I just have to go to this conference. My relief is coming tomorrow, I just have to buy this red light or hyperbaric or cold plunge or sauna or workout. No, 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 no. No. It's holistic. It's integrated. It's how you're living. It's how you're operating. It's the choices you make. It's the whether you walk in obedience or not. Are you willing to slow down? Or are you willing just to add another element, another product to the crazy chaos that you already live in? And so this leads to the radical truth number 3, which the industry profits when health is always ahead of you. The industry profits when the market is always ahead of you. And so if vitality becomes a present experience, the search ends. Like, just think about that for a second. I can speak from my own experience here because I feel like I've lived in true health and vitality for the last 6 years. I'm no longer searching for the best sauna protocol or the best cold plunge protocol. No longer searching for the best workout program. No longer searching for the best diet for me. Because I know enough about my body. I'm in tune with it. I'm obedient to it. And I have certain habits, behaviors, and life rhythms that allow me to shape it every day. That doesn't mean I've stopped learning. I'm always learning. I'm always seeking. I'm always looking. But my gosh, I don't put my help in anything other than my obedience to who God calls me to be and the health in which God's ultimately displayed upon me. He's given me the most amazing creation, which is the life and life itself, a body. And it has a language, and I just listen to it. And I'm obedient to it every day. And that's where my health comes from. When the messaging stays preventative instead of restorative, when it stays in the future and not in the present, when it stays just one step ahead of you and always seeking, always guiding, always leading, always running after, you can never actually receive it. And I actually come back and I say all the time, preventative medicine is today's medicine. Proactive medicine is today's medicine. But the world and the market will sell it because it's coming tomorrow. Because like, even as I was thinking about this and I was looking at a lot of those people walking through, they're all looking for an edge that, quite frankly, a lot of them will never find because they're not willing to change the way they live. Was sitting with one of the vendors. I was talking to him and he was selling this longevity gummy. A longevity gummy. It was a heavy protein gummy. They had a whole line of supplements that had hair regrowth and menopausal support and testosterone increase and all these things that they were promising. But yet I looked at him and he was overweight. I looked at him and the guy had huge bags under his eyes. I looked at him and he was frantic and running all over the place. And I said, "How are you doing?" He goes, "I'm good. I'm good. This is my 3rd event in 10 days and been all over the country. We're on the road." And I said, "So do you take your products? Do you use them?" He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm using these things." And I just kept asking questions. And about 10 minutes later, I said, "So how do you feel? Like, how are you doing?" He goes, "Bro, I'm so tired. I just feel like I haven't had any opportunities to slow down." And I said, "So how's your longevity journey going?" He's like, "Well, hopefully I'll die later than I am because I'm on this stuff." And I said, "I think you're missing the point. I think you're missing the point." Because as I was sitting there with him and he was speaking, the revelation hit me, and where it goes, a regulated person becomes a non-customer. I'm not interested in anything he has. Because I found my truth. I know where my truth is. My truth exists internally. I've been given every gift that I need in order to have longevity and presence. And it starts with where I am in this very moment. It starts with living differently. It exists with living in alignment with what God gave me, how he created me, how he designed me. And when I live in alignment like that, I am no longer a consumer. I am no longer a customer to what everybody else is selling. This is why protocols multiply while daily behaviors remained ignored. You're going to buy every protocol, you're going to buy every framework, you're going to buy every system, but you forgot your daily rhythms, your daily habits, and your daily behaviors. You forgot the things that you can control. You forgot the things that you've been asked of to ultimately step into something new, which takes me to part 4, or the 4th radical truth, which is the biological reality. That every longevity marker is simply a daily function marker. Talk about HRV. HRV, yes, longevity marker, but it's a marker of how are you regulating today? How have your habits and behaviors been responded to by your body? Quality of sleep. How well did you sleep last night? How well did your systems, your habits, behaviors set up your ability to have a good night's sleep? Blood sugar stability. How well did your nutritional choices in your last meal create stability of blood sugar or create this crazy fluctuation? Inflammatory markers. Are you doing the daily things necessary to create inflammation low, or have you been engaging in behaviors and habits that have caused it to go high? And so the radical truth that comes off of this is you don't build a long life, you stack daily regulated days. We're shooting for longevity. We're shooting for this long lifespan that is going to get out of reach fast for a lot of people and think that longevity is a lie simply because you failed to stack regulated days. You're dysregulated but expecting longevity. And your lifespan is the accumulation of nervous system states, not calendar time. And so how do we stack days? How do we stack days not out of perfection, but out of intentionality? How do we stack days not out of obsession, but about awareness as to where are we? What are we doing? How are we operating this way? It's the reason why I've got these systems built into my life, and why with Own It, we teach how do you listen to your body? How can we build this into the season of life you're in? Not a given space of this is what you have to do, but this is what you get blessed to do. And let's learn the language of your body. Let's learn the season you're in. Let's create something that's sustainable so you can be consistent. It's not going to be perfect. It's going to be up and down. But my gosh, the awareness that you have and the intentionality that you're operating in is going to create an inevitable outcome that your tomorrow is just as good as your today, because your today was better than yesterday. That's what we're after. The market will sell you something for the future. There was a large population study done where wearable research shows higher heart rate variability predicts lower all-cause mortality and better cognitive function because it reflects adaptive stress response capacity, not age. And what I mean by that is oftentimes we look, and this is why I talk about HRV so often, is because it tells us how are we regulating, and it gives us real-time feedback. Is what we did the last 24 hours working, or is it not? Is our body responding positively, or is it saying, hey, I need you to do something differently? And it's helping us understand that longevity is really adaptability over the course of time. Can you stay adaptable at 75? Can you stay adaptable at 90? Can you stay adaptable at 100? Can you stay adaptable at 40? Can you handle what it is that you're doing? And oftentimes the answer is no. Oftentimes we get dysregulated. We get disproportionately focused on things, and it pulls us in a negative direction. And I love the concept of what we talked about because, again, it's not time, it's state that matters, which takes us to part 5, which is the emotional lie, is that you can't hate your days and love your decades. You can't hate your days and love your decades. I know so many people I talk about, they hate their days. They're exhausted every day. See people every single room I go into and speak to. They're burnt out. They're frustrated. They don't have time to hear a talk on health. If you don't have time to hear a talk on health that's different from every other health talk, then my guess is that you probably have a life that is dysregulated. And in alignment with that, you can't numb your present day, and ultimately expect a vibrant future, which is where that false lie, that emotional lie of longevity comes in. Because the radical truth number 5 that we have here is that vitality is immediate, not eventual. You find vitality today in this moment because you chose to do something different. When we talk about states, guys, like go have a really good meal, go have a really crappy meal. Go eat a really beautiful like grilled steak with some grilled vegetables. Eat it, tell me how you feel, versus going and having a burger from McDonald's. That's an immediate state. Vitality is in the moment. Go do a workout, whether it's a high intensity workout or a 30-minute run or an elliptical, versus go binge watch TV for 45 minutes. Tell me which one you feel vibrant after. Go sit in the sauna and come out and stretch versus going and sitting and sending a bunch of emails in a hot room. And tell me how you feel. Go lay in the sun for 5 minutes and do breath work versus sitting at your desk and pulling your hair out because you're frustrated, and tell me which one you feel more vibrant after. Vibrance is a state. It's immediate. It's something you can put yourself into. And vibrance compounded equals longevity. Vibrance is not something that you get eventually. It's something you have immediately. That's why I love the body. It responds to you this way. It may not feel amazing in the moment, but my gosh, it will feel great after. It will feel great after. Health is experienced before it's measured. Health is experienced before it's measured. It's something you go through and feel in the moment. It's something you go and actually get to interact with. It's alive. Your health is alive. It's why I love it so much. It's why it connects me to the Spirit so much. The Spirit is alive in you. God is alive in you. He is the healer. He is Jehovah Rapha. He is in you. He's been put there. You were created in His image. Your body is alive. Your health is alive. It's meant to be experienced, not looked at. It's meant to be experienced, not delayed. It's meant to be experienced and not put forth in the future. And so how do we actually own that today? Well, we walk in it today. Because the moment you sleep deeply, breathe slowly, move daily, and connect relationally, you experience what people think longevity feels like. Man, I got goosebumps. The moment you sleep deeply, breathe slowly, move daily, and connect relationally, you experience what people think longevity feels like. It's so true. It is, and that if there's I don't know if there's a better truth than that. Longevity is not about going and injecting yourself with peptides and hormones. It's not about going and hooking your testicles up to get rejuvenated of younger testosterone. It's not about going and doing these biohacks. It's about experiencing it daily, changing state. It's your birthright, guys. It's your birthright. There's a study that came out that says sleep research shows that 1 week of sufficient sleep improves insulin sensitivity, mood regulation, and inflammation markers, significantly demonstrating biological age shifts can occur rapidly, not just across years. Because longevity is simply the echo of what do you do daily. 5 takeaways, right? These 5 truths, I'm going to summarize them again. Radical truth number 1 is longevity is not a time problem, it's a state problem. Number 2 is that people chase longevity when they do not feel safe in their own body. And the future is attractive because it delays your responsibility. Number 3, the radical truth is that the market has learned to sell you your future, and thus the industry profits when health is already ahead of you and promises that it's ahead of you. Which leads to radical truth number 4 is that you do not build a long life. You stack regulated days. And the 5th one is that vitality is immediate, not eventual. You feel it daily. You feel it in the very moment. And so what I really want to encourage you guys to do right now is go test these, go see this. Go right now. And hopefully you're working out or you're moving. But make your next meal an intentional meal, a whole food meal, something God made, not something man made. Maybe you just had a meal and maybe you need to do something different. Go walk for 10 minutes right now. Go walk for 10 minutes and see how you feel after that walk versus how you felt sitting at your desk. Maybe you're working out and you're active right now. Go lay down after you're done and breathe intentionally for 3 minutes. You can go find a lot of them on my YouTube channel. Go breathe intentionally for 3 minutes and see how you feel. If you feel different going back to work or going back to be with the kids or with the family after breathing for 3 minutes versus just finishing your workout and jumping right back into what life has. Tonight, instead of just falling into bed after you're done, go and take 10 minutes to stretch, breathe, do a very intentional night routine, shut the lights off around you, and prepare for sleep rather than just expecting yourself to go and do it. And tell me that you don't experience what longevity feels like in the ever-giving moment rather than punting it downhill and saying at some point I'll get there. Because at some point, that point will no longer be accessible because that point and that next moment won't be present for you. It won't be available for you because you'll be gone. I just want to come back to the concept that you're not trying to live forever. You're just trying to stop feeling half alive. I don't want you to feel superhuman. I want you to feel fully human. I want you to experience life and life abundantly the way we were designed to feel it. Because longevity is what happens when your days stop hurting. Longevity is what happens when you stop living daily in a disintegrated way. Longevity is what happens and what you experience in the moment when suddenly you start living in alignment with how your body was created. And so when we talk about in the power of ownership, I've got it right there, I've got it right here on the side, this book right here, The Power of Ownership. When I talk about redeem your health, live life by design, and break the relentless pursuit of normal, we're taking what has been normal for so long and we're breaking it. We're turning it upside down and backwards. We're building a life by design. So don't build a life that you need to escape from. Build a life that you are designing intentionally. And as you design a life intentionally, here's what's the fun thing is you're going to accidentally build a long life. When you stop building a life you need to escape from, you build a life that you actually have as a long one. And on this show, we don't chase health someday. We practice it today. We experience it today. So if today blessed you, if today was something that was like resonated with you, share this with somebody. I encourage you, share this podcast with someone today, because I know it's going to bless someone in a big way. It's going to wake them up in a big way. It's going to be a big shifter. I've felt this. We've been going for about 45 minutes. I usually don't go this long, but my gosh, this was just, it's from the Spirit. I felt it so deeply as I was putting my outline together. When we say the word longevity is one of the most pervasive words in our culture today, and people are not actually after longevity. It's a future phenomenon that we are setting our hopes on. Longevity is something you're experiencing today. Really, all you're saying is that I want to stop feeling the way I'm feeling right now. I want to stop feeling half alive, and so I have a hope that longevity will someday find me. Longevity won't someday find you. Longevity is meant to be experienced today. So what changes are you going to make? And hopefully one of those is a call with us, ownitcoaching.com. You can find us there. We can walk this journey with you so that it can become your inevitable outcome. I encourage you to do it. I encourage you to take that next step, because you're too important not to. The promise of life and life abundantly is sitting right there, but the next choice is yours. We know success is different, so own your different. I will see you guys next week.